In this video, we're going to be checking out the best unlocked budget smartphones that work with Verizon Wireless of 2019. So let's get started. Follow me on Instagram at KevinBreezeTV. Please join the Kevin Breeze Tech community on Facebook to chat about budget smartphones, ask questions, and help others. Now, all 5 of these phones are $250 or less, and they all, of course, work with Verizon Wireless. In addition to that, all of these phones are going to work with GSM carriers too. So in the US, these are going to work with at&t and T-Mobile, and the other carriers under those, such as Cricket and Metro by T-Mobile. So if you're a Verizon user, but you still want the flexibility of potentially switching over to a GSM carrier in the future, then you're definitely going to like all of these phones. Now, another thing too is that all of these phones are in different price ranges, under $250, so there's definitely something here for everybody. And I think you're especially going to be very interested in the last phone that I show you in this video. But let's first start with the Moto G7 Power with Alexa. So if you go on Amazon, you'll see a bunch of different Moto G7 Power models. This specific model is the Alexa version, and it is an Amazon exclusive. But what's really cool about this device is that it works on all 4 major US carriers, including Verizon, of course. So I do have my Verizon SIM in here. So let's do a speed test to see the kind of speeds that you will get with Verizon on this phone. Now, of course, I'm sure throughout the day I would be getting different speeds. And the speeds I get right now don't mean that those are speeds that you'll be getting, but it's still interesting to see the kind of speeds that this device is capable of. And it looks like right now we're getting speeds in the mid 50s, up now more in the 60s. And this is for the download. So definitely good speeds from the looks of it with Verizon on the Moto G7 Power. But if you're looking to buy this device or any of the other ones featured in this video, I will be leaving links in the video description. And it looks like we're getting around 20, so here's the final speed. So we have a download of 65.4 megabits per second and an upload of 24.3 megabits per second. So really good speeds using Verizon Wireless with the Moto G7 Power with Alexa. Now at first, when I first got this phone, I actually couldn't get Verizon to work. I'm not sure why, but I did a software update and now it works very well. So I literally just put my Verizon SIM card in this phone and I was instantly good to go. Now this device features a 6.2-inch display at 720p with a 19:9 aspect ratio. We do have a notch up here on the top, and we have 3 gigabytes of RAM with this phone and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 632 processor. So a very good processor on this device. The reason why it's called the Moto G7 Power is because it features a massive 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery. The battery also features fast charging compatibility, so you'll easily be able to quickly charge it up. The device features an 8 megapixel camera on the front. It has a 12 megapixel camera on the back. It has 32 gigabytes of internal storage with the ability to expand that with a micro SD card. It runs Android 9 Pie, which is the latest version of Android, and it features a stock experience. The only bloatware on here are the various Amazon applications, but that's because this is the Alexa version of the phone. There's also a regular Moto G7 Power that also works with all 4 major US carriers, so you might want to look into that if you're not really into Amazon services. But for me personally, I use all of these various services quite often, so it works out really well. Now this phone retails currently for $229, which I feel like is a very good value for what you're getting here. This next device is the LG Stylo 4 Amazon Prime exclusive phone. Now, there are other unlocked versions of the LG Stylo 4 out there that do not work with Verizon, but this version does. In fact, this phone will work with all 4 major US carriers, which is really great. Now, we do have the LG Stylo 5 out right now, but at the time of me making this video, there is no LG Stylo 5 that's available factory unlocked, and no version of the phone that works with Verizon. Now thankfully, the LG Stylo 5 is barely an upgrade from the LG Stylo 4. The 2 phones have a ton in common, so you're not really losing out on much. One of the disadvantages though with this phone is that it does run Android 8.1 Oreo, and I'm not sure if there will ever be a software update in the future. I wouldn't count on it, so you pretty much are stuck with Oreo. But it still does run very well. It's nicely optimized with Oreo, and you're gonna get good app compatibility. So let's do a speed test to see what kind of speeds you're gonna be getting with Verizon on the LG Stylo 4. So I do have Wi-Fi turned off, of course. Here we go, Verizon LTE. I'm gonna tap on go, and we'll see what kind of speeds we're gonna get. So it's gonna start up right now, and it looks like we're getting similar, if not wow, probably better speeds than I was even getting with the Moto G7 Power. But like I said, that could just be a coincidence. It has nothing to do necessarily with the actual hardware here. But that's amazing. 89.1 megabits per second download. That is really good. That's faster than a lot of people's home internet. And especially for the upload here, a little bit over 20 megabits per second it looks like, with a final speed of 21.2 megabits per second. So really good Verizon LTE on the LG Stylo 4 Amazon Prime exclusive phone. Now, the device features a 6.2-inch display at 1080p. It has an 18:9 aspect ratio. There is no notch, but up top here we have a 5-megapixel front-facing camera. Then on the back side we have a single 13-megapixel camera. The device features 32 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion. We get 3 gigabytes of RAM on here with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 450 processor. It has a 3,300 mAh internal battery, and like I mentioned before, it does run Android 8.1 Oreo. Now, one of the signature features of this phone is that it features a built-in stylus. So it's kind of like the Galaxy Note from Samsung with that stylus. You don't have as many functionalities necessarily, but it's really cool to see that we do get a stylus here on a budget phone. And another cool thing is that if you have the display off and you remove the stylus, it brings up a little notepad here where you can draw and write different messages. So that's a really cool feature. But if you're not into drawing or writing with the stylus, you can use it just to navigate around the phone, and it can definitely come in handy. The LG Stylo 4 is still a really hot seller on Amazon despite the LG Stylo 5 now being out. And the main reason for that is because a lot of people are looking to buy a good, reliable phone like this one with a great display that does work with Verizon Wireless. This phone is the Umidigi Power. It's currently being offered for $139.99. Most of Umidigi's other recent devices also work with Verizon, including the Umidigi F1, F1 Play, and S3 Pro. But I specifically wanted to feature this phone in this video because of how great of a value it is. So this is for sale on Amazon. I will be leaving a link in the video description. But with this device, you are getting a 6.3-inch display at 1080p with a 19.5:9 aspect ratio. So a really big display that looks really clear. And it has 64 gigabytes of internal storage. It has a 16-megapixel front-facing camera. And then on the back, we have a 16-megapixel main camera and a 5-megapixel secondary camera. The phone features 4 gigabytes of RAM and has the MediaTek Helio P35 processor. It has a very massive battery at 5,150 mAh, and it runs Android 9 Pie. The actual software itself is stock Android, which is another great bonus. The Umidigi Power is a great budget phone for Verizon Wireless, and let's do a speed test right now to see how this runs. So you can see it's connected to Verizon Wireless LTE. We'll get this started right now. And we are getting around 40 megabits per second. The final download score is 39.4 megabits per second, a little bit slower than the other two devices that we've already covered in this video, but still, that's a very good speed, and for many people, that is plenty fast. And then for the upload, we have 18.2 megabits per second. So overall, this is a really nice budget phone that will work with Verizon Wireless, and it comes in at a very affordable price tag of $139.99. Next up, we have the Moto G7 Play with Alexa. So just like the Moto G7 Power with Alexa, this is an Amazon exclusive, and if you don't want the Amazon software preloaded onto here, you can also get the normal unlocked Moto G7 Play. But this does work with at&t, Verizon, T-Mobile, and Sprint. The price tag for this phone right now is $179.99. It features a 5.7-inch display coming in at 720p with a 19:9 aspect ratio and a PPI of 294. Now up top here we have a pretty big notch, but the notch does have the front-facing camera and a front-facing flash. The front-facing camera is 8 megapixels, which is pretty good. The device has 32 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion. On the back side, we have a fingerprint sensor. We also have a 13 megapixel rear camera. The device has 2 gigabytes of RAM, but features the Qualcomm Snapdragon 632 processor. So the same processor as the Moto G7 Power, which is a very good processor. It's very powerful as well. Video recording with this phone is going to be maxing out at 4K at 30 frames per second. Another very unique thing that you don't find that often with a budget phone. The device has a 3000 mAh internal battery with fast charging and runs a stock version of Android 9 Pie. Let's do a speed test though to see what kind of speeds we're going to be getting with Verizon on the Moto G7 Play. So we'll get this started. Looks like we do have Verizon LTE connected. We'll get this going. It's connecting right now. And it should start in a second here. So here we go. Looks like we're also getting around 33 megabits per second, just like we were getting with the Umidigi Power. So, it's a little bit quicker now, but it looks like maybe the speeds just went down in general for the network around here, and it doesn't have as much to do with these specific phones. But even at 35.6 megabits per second down, and of course the upload is pretty amazing at 39.8, those are both really good speeds, and for most people that's going to be more than enough. So overall, I'm very happy with the Moto G7 Play with Alexa. So if you do want to pick this device up, you can currently get it for $179.99 over on Amazon. Link will be in the video description. This device is the LG G7 ThinQ. Now this was LG's flagship phone for last year, and it had a $750 retail price, but I recently bought this on eBay very lightly used for $189, and I feel like it's one of the best values that you can really get right now. Now the condition of this phone when I got it was literally in perfect mint condition. I have a feeling that even though this phone was sold as used, it was probably extra inventory that they had, and then it was liquidated and then sold at a very low price tag. So you can still find these, of course, on eBay. You can also find this phone used on Amazon for a little bit more. But I recommend getting this through eBay, but this is definitely one of the best values you can get right now. And you really do get an amazing smartphone here for a very good price. Now, what's especially cool about buying this phone on eBay, which is where I got this one, is that this was originally a Verizon wireless, but since then, this phone has been unlocked, so it works on all GSM carriers as well. I actually usually use this device with Cricket, and it works great on Cricket, but of course it works really well on Verizon too. So like I said, you can get this for around $189 on eBay. I will leave a link in the video description to that. But if you do want to get this from Amazon, then you can get the Verizon version of the phone for $249. But it is locked to Verizon as far as I'm aware. But if for some reason you're watching this video and you aren't a Verizon customer and you want to get a GSM version of the phone from Amazon, Amazon actually has a renewed version of the device for $219 that is GSM only. But if you want the best of both worlds, then you should head over to eBay and then get this for $189. And it's a Verizon phone, but it's been unlocked so that it works on Verizon and GSM carriers. So hopefully that makes sense. Now let's do a speed test though, first, before I go into the various specifications of this phone. And I will be doing a lot of videos about this phone on the channel just because I am so excited about it and the amount of value that it packs in at such an affordable price. But it looks like we are getting around 140 megabits per second down with Verizon LTE. Almost 150 megabits per second actually, so that's really good. Wow. So this definitely has all of the bands for the maximum Verizon compatibility so that you can get the best speeds possible. But as you can see here, the download is 153 megabits per second. And the upload, it looks like it's going to be around 44.2 megabits per second. So amazing speeds with the LG G7 ThinQ on Verizon. Now this device features a 6.1-inch display at 1440p, so well above 1080p. It is a PPI of 564 and features a 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio. You're getting an 8 megapixel front-facing camera with portrait mode. You get 64 gigabytes of storage with this phone with micro SD card expansion. It has wireless charging. It has a fingerprint sensor on the back. It has Face ID as well. And on the back side, we also have a dual camera setup with a 16 megapixel main camera and a secondary camera that is 16 megapixels that's ultra wide angle. So you can take really nice wide angle photos with this phone. It features 4 gigabytes of RAM and the Snapdragon 845 processor. Video recording on this phone maxes out at 4K at 60 frames per second. It has a 3000 milliamp hour internal battery, and the software was recently updated to Android 9 Pie. So again, you get the latest version of Android on this phone. You get flagship level specifications. Even though this was last year's flagship, it's still pretty much at the same level as this year's flagship devices. And even though for the best savings, you will have to buy this used, it is basically new. I was not able to find any evidence of use on this phone. And my mom ended up getting one of these too after I got this because she wanted to upgrade from her Galaxy S7. And her phone was also in this amazing mint condition with no signs of use. So it seems like all of these unlocked LG G7 ThinQs from Verizon on eBay are all in great condition, probably never even used before. The only downside of these phones though is that they don't come with a box or any of the original accessories, but they do give you a USB-C cord for charging and a wall adapter. But I would say out of all of these devices, this one is the best value because you really do get a ton of great features for the price. And look, I'm not saying this because I specifically want to promote this device. The truth is that with all of these other phones, I can use my Amazon affiliate links. And for this one, if you buy this over at eBay, I don't get any sort of commission or anything. So if I wanted to be slimy, I would just tell you to buy these phones and not this one. But the truth is that this gives you way more value than the rest of these phones. You're going to be able to take awesome photos and videos. In fact, most of my videos that I've been putting up on my channel recently have been recorded with the camera on this phone. So overall, the LG G7 ThinQ now appears to be the king of budget phones. And it's really not a budget phone. I mean, it's a flagship phone, but the price of this phone makes it more affordable than actually several of these budget phones right here. So this device is amazing. I cannot recommend it any more than I already have. And you saw here as well that we got significantly faster LTE speeds with the LG G7 ThinQ. And I do not think that was a coincidence with the network for some reason suddenly giving me faster speeds. I definitely think that has something to do with the hardware here, that's for sure. But I hope you enjoyed this video going over these 5 budget unlocked phones that you can use on Verizon. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to check out the links in the video description to buy any of these phones, and I will see you in the next one.